We think it's best if you take a step back for now. The message appeared on my phone screen, sitting between the familiar icons of our group chat family. Below it, Aunt Carol reacted with a thumbs-up emoji. Everyone else stayed silent. No one added a word. I was standing in the kitchen. The white light reflected off the steel countertop. The pot of boiling water trembled, steam fogging the corner of the mirror. Outside the window, the lights from the opposite apartment flickered like a distant signal I couldn't interpret. The phone buzzed again, soft, steady. I looked at it lying still on the counter, an innocent object holding quiet destruction. The smell of stale coffee mixed with the slow hum of the refrigerator. Everything in that small kitchen had heard the message. Nothing reacted. My hand still held the stainless steel ladle, my fingers catching the faint shine of the metal. A drop of boiling water spilled over the edge, landing on the tile with a sharp hiss. The air felt heavy, like water. I didn't speak. On the screen, the line stayed. Seen by Dad? Mom, Megan, Carol. I looked at each name as if I were reading a roll call of people who had just voted me out. No explanation. To no question mark. A knock came from the hallway, someone picking up the wrong delivery. The sound cut through the stillness, brief and hollow. I looked up, then back at the phone. The screen still glowed, waiting for my reply. I set the spoon down and reached for my phone. The screen glowed against the steel counter, reflecting a faint shape of my face, half there, half erased. The message thread stood open, frozen. My thumb hovered above the keyboard. Then I noticed the folder tab in the corner of the screen, the one labeled Family Fund. The name felt foreign now, like a title from a life I didn't remember living. I didn't open it. I just stared at it until the phone dimmed, the light fading like breath on glass. I picked up the small notepad that always sat beside the coffee maker. A corner of a receipt stuck out: last week's transfer to Megan. The pharmacy total. Dad's utility bill. The ink had bled slightly from steam. I pressed my palm over it. The paper crinkled beneath my hand, soft and tired. The microwave beeped once, reminding me dinner was ready. I didn't move. I listened to the sound fade, the apartment settling around me like a held breath. My other hand brushed the edge of the counter, steadying itself. The phone buzzed again, Aunt Carol's thumbs up still the last visible reaction. No one else replied. The blue check marks lined up neatly. A row of silent witnesses. I exhaled once, slow. Then I typed, "Understood. I'll respect that and step away from the family fund." 2. I pressed send. The message left the screen with a quiet swoosh, cleaner than any goodbye. The kettle clicked off behind me. Steam curled against the window and vanished. I stood still, because this wasn't the first time. The first time it happened, it looked harmless. Dad called one evening, said he'd misplaced his card again. I was 27, still believing responsibility meant love. He asked if I could cover the bill until the bank sorted it out. I said yes. He forgot to pay me back. No one mentioned it again. The second time came with a smile. Mom's voice on speaker. Megan's therapy invoice came earlier than expected. "You're so organized. Sweetie, just send it through your account. We'll fix it later." Later never arrived. They sent photos of dinner that night, everyone laughing. My name wasn't in the toast. Months passed. Patterns built themselves like furniture. You stop noticing, each time. I moved money around, told myself it was temporary. The family chat filled with thanks, emojis, requests. The balance kept shrinking. Then came the small gathering for Megan's new job. Aunt Carol's pearls clicked when she hugged me. "You must be proud," she said to Dad. He nodded. "She's been our backbone." Carol laughed. "Oh, I thought Megan was the backbone now." The room chuckled politely. I smiled back. No one corrected her. Adrian stood beside me, silent. He watched the way my hand tightened on the glass. He said nothing then, but his eyes followed the way Dad passed Megan the envelope with cash to help her settle. I'd transferred that money 2 days earlier. When we left, Adrian asked nothing. We both knew what silence meant in that family. It wasn't peace. It was hierarchy. The next week, another message. "Can you handle the mortgage payment this month? We're short until Friday." The same phrase every time, like a family motto. By then, Even the bank app felt heavy to open. The breaking point came wrapped in a compliment. Megan called it a retreat, a wellness trip across the country. She sent the brochure in the family chat mountains. Yoga mats. Sunrise silence. Then she added, the fund can cover it. Mental health counts too. No one hesitated. Dad replied first. That's important? Mom sent a heart. Aunt Carol reacted with clapping hands. I stared at the screen, the cursor blinking under my name. For once, I didn't type. 2 days later, I noticed a withdrawal I hadn't made. The amount matched the deposit for the retreat. My name. My account. I opened the statement, the numbers aligning like a quiet accusation. I printed it, folded it once, slid it into a plain envelope, and left it on my desk. The paper waited there for weeks, unread by anyone but me. It became part of the furniture, like the lamp or the unpaid gratitude that filled the house. By then, I'd stopped correcting them. I let them call it our fund. I let Dad interrupt when I spoke. I let Megan cry about stress while her receipts came through my email. Each small silence carved a new shape into me. I watched myself shrink. Not physically, just in volume, in relevance. Every favor made their voices louder and mine smaller. The final straw wasn't rage. It was the stillness that came after. The moment I saw the envelope again and realized it didn't belong to them anymore, I didn't say it out loud. But in my head, it sounded like glass settling after an earthquake. I was done. The apartment stayed dark long after midnight. I didn't turn on the lights. The city glow slipped through the blinds, drawing pale stripes across the counter. The envelope still sat there, edges curled from steam. I touched it once, the paper warm from the heat that never left. The refrigerator hummed, somewhere below. A car door slammed, then silence again. I counted the seconds between sounds. Each gap felt like space widening. I let it. I opened my laptop, not to check messages but to sort. The files loaded in slow order, invoice, transfers, email confirmations. Each one carried my name. I dragged them into folders by year, color-coded them by purpose: medical, mortgage, emergencies, unreturned. I didn't label them with emotion, only numbers. I printed some, stacked them neatly by date. The pages slid from the tray, warm, smelling faintly of plastic. I placed each in a clear sleeve, sealed it, moved to the next. My hands moved on their own, calm, deliberate. The floor under my chair creaked every few minutes, the only proof I was still there. By 3 a.m., the table looked like a small archive, 5 years of silence mapped in columns and rows. I renamed the folder on my desktop. Ledger. Final. The word final blinked once as if asking for confirmation. I pressed enter. When I looked up, the window had turned silver. Morning was coming, and for the first time, I didn't dread its light. By morning, I had everything labeled. The table was covered in transparent sleeves, stacked by year. I slid the last one into place and closed the binder. The air smelled of paper and burnt coffee. Around 9, Adrian knocked once and let himself in. He didn't ask how I was. He looked at the piles, then at me. "Which one first?" he said. His tone was neutral, almost businesslike. I handed him the top folder, the earliest transfers. The start of the habit. He nodded, opened his laptop, and began cross-checking. The tapping of keys replaced conversation. Step 1 came that afternoon. I sent a short text to my father. "Could you confirm which account you used for the mortgage last month?" His reply was fast. "Same one as always. Yours." I screenshotted it. No emotion, just proof. Step 2. I took the binder to a notary near my office. The clerk scanned each page, stamped them, slid them back. Her nails tapped the desk softly, rhythmic. The sound felt like a metronome marking the end of something slow. Step 3. I opened my calendar and created an event: family review call. Thursday, 8 p.m. I added every address in that group chat. No subject line, just a blank title and a time. When it was done, I turned off the laptop. The light in the room shifted as the blinds tilted. Thin bars of gold across the papers. I whispered to the empty air. The words dry and exact. I don't need them to believe me. I just need everything recorded. The call started on time. Thursday, 8 p.m. sharp. Everyone's squares flickered onto the screen. Mom's living room, Dad's office, Megan's apartment with the fairy lights, Aunt Carol's pearls already in frame, Adrian sat beside me, off camera, silent. Dad opened first, the way he always did when something uncomfortable needed polishing. "Gloria," he said, voice softened with false weight. "We've been thinking about how much you've done for us. You've always been the stable one, the dependable one." He smiled at the camera. "But sometimes we all need a break. Maybe this step back will give you peace too." Mom nodded quickly. "Your father's right. You give so much, sweetheart." "We never asked you to," she stopped mid-sentence, catching herself. "We just assumed you wanted to." Megan leaned in, hair pulled into an effortless bun. "Honestly, Gloria, it's your energy lately. You make everything sound like an invoice. That's not love. That's accounting." Aunt Carol laughed softly, tapping her pearls. "Oh, Megan, you're terrible." But she's not wrong. Love isn't about keeping receipts. No one noticed how still I'd become. The kettle on my counter ticked as it cooled, a slow metallic heartbeat through my speakers. Dad cleared his throat. "Let's just put this all behind us." "Okay. We'll handle things from now on." He turned to the others, waiting for agreement. They nodded, smiling at the idea of closure. The room, each digital box filled with a strange, false peace. Then silence. Long, deliberate silence. The kind that feels like gravity pressing down. I didn't move. I let them wait. 10 seconds. 15. The only sound came from Aunt Carol's bracelets clinking as she adjusted her wrist. Megan shifted in her chair. Mom's mouth twitched like she wanted to speak but couldn't choose which side she was on. I leaned forward slightly, the camera catching the reflection of the folder beside me. The edges glimmered under the lamp. No one noticed. Not yet. I reached for the folder. The motion was small, deliberate. The sound of paper sliding against the desk filled the silence louder than any voice could. I placed it in front of the camera. Not centered, just enough that the edge of a document caught the light. Adrian adjusted the focus without speaking. Layer 1. Screenshots. I opened the file and shared my screen. Rows of messages appeared: requests, transfers, emojis of thanks. My father's text from the day before blinked near the top. Same one as always. "Yours." No one spoke. Layer 2. Bank records. I clicked again. Columns of numbers filled the screen. Neat and unblinking. Each transaction carried a name, a date, and a reason. Mom's refill, Megan's therapy, mortgage gap. Adrian's voice broke the air softly. Reading totals for verification. All accounts under Gloria Kenyon. Primary holder confirmed. Mom's hand rose to her mouth. Dad shifted back, face paling beneath the kitchen lights. Megan's reflection trembled on her screen. Aunt Carol's smile vanished. Layer 3. The final file. I dragged a PDF onto the center of the display. The notary's stamp glowed red. Authorization revoked effective immediately. Beneath it, their names, each signature crossed out, replaced with mine. Adrian's cursor pointed to the timestamp. Filed this morning. Nobody blinked. I closed the folder slowly, the paper edges aligning in one clean line. Then I spoke, my voice flat, steady. "From now on, I don't belong to the role you chose for me." No reply, just breathing quick, uneven. I leaned back. The fund is closed. The accounts have been separated. The bank and the IRS have full documentation. Megan's eyes darted off screen. Dad reached forward, like he could fix it through the pixels. I watched them in silence. Then I said the last line, quiet as a lock turning. "From this point on, there's nothing left between us to owe." I ended the call. The screen went black. The apartment was quiet again. The kind of quiet that doesn't demand attention, it simply exists. The laptop screen had gone dark, reflecting the faint outline of my face against the city's nightlights. Steam rose from the mug beside me, curling into the air before fading. The hum of the refrigerator filled the distance, soft and mechanical, steady like a new heartbeat. I took off my glasses, set them on the table. The papers were gone, filed away. The folder, Ledger Final, sat closed in the drawer, its presence no longer heavy. I walked to the window. The streetlights below washed the walls in amber, the blinds cutting the glow into narrow stripes across the floor. My hands rested on the cool edge of the counter. I hadn't noticed how still the apartment had become, how wide it felt without the sound of my phone vibrating. It hadn't rung all evening. I didn't check to see if it would. In the group chat, no one said a word. The thread sat frozen at my last line. Each name still there, each icon still blue. But the silence had changed shape, less judgment, more absence. Even absence can feel like acknowledgement. Aunt Carol removed her reaction. Megan stopped sending her morning quotes. Dad didn't forward news articles anymore. Mom sent one photo, a table by the tree. Gifts still wrapped. No caption. No demand. I didn't reply. I opened the window a little wider. The air outside carried the smell of rain and iron. Curtains swayed, brushing against my arm. I let them. Behind me. The kettle clicked once, metal cooling against metal. I poured fresh water and watched the ripples settle. The motion was slow, exact, enough. Maybe peace isn't loud or cinematic. Maybe it's just the sound of nothing asking for you. I looked out at the city lights and let my shoulders drop. I chose quiet. They chose to lose me.